Hey everybody, welcome to the fourth episode of Databytes. We're here again with Arvind. Hey Arvind, welcome to the episode.
Hi Shashank, hi everybody. It's good to be
Hey,
back.
nice. So for everybody who's watching, we've been doing this series for three episodes now. This is our fourth episode, and we started this series by discussing about some of the interesting tools. And Arvind talked about a Power BI that is gaining a lot of popularity these days. It's a widely used analysis tool. And we started off with what features he likes, but some of the important things that one should keep in mind on your request. We also spoke about filter fields and how to use them in Power BI. The tool in itself has been, uh, a key point of interest for many people. And I think, it kind of tells us that, we should talk about this more. So Arvind, what I want to do today is I'm pretty sure there are people who are implementing BI solutions for their businesses. What are some of the challenges that you see that people face on a day-to-day basis, while implementing these solutions? And what do you what would you recommend? Being in the industry for over uh, 2 decades, worth of experience. What are some of the solutions that you would recommend to these people so that they can do their implementations quite efficiently?
Sure. Shashank, Power BI, um, like some of the newer age tools, is from this genre of business intelligence tool sets that makes it deceptively simple for people to implement BI. It's very easy to get to the final outcome and forget about all the complexity that goes into building a business intelligence tool. So first and foremost, data is still the boss. Data is still the most important element, and the fidelity of data and protecting how data kind of is presented with no loss of integrity is still the key. So, in order to
Sure.
implement Power BI, like any other modern age tools, and I'm classifying like broad range data visualization tools such as Click, Tableau, Power BI in that one big basket. Um, the problem is that because they support this notion of self-serve BI, they support this whole idea about businesses being able to implement and ingest as
Mhm.
much data as possible or different variety of data as possible. The problem that this has led to is this multiple data sources, multiple sources of information, multiple reporting, multiple visualizations that kind of obscure the idea about where the data is coming from, whether it can be trusted, and as a result, then doesn't a corporation really use this data for analysis? So Power BI, like those other tools, also can create that or at least add to that problem. So one
Sure.
of the tool sets, one of the solutions about 5 or so years back that was emerging in that Power BI universe is this concept of golden data sets. In how do we
Okay.
implement this enterprise-wide one source of truth? Right. So the best way to think of golden data sets is really to think of this as this master data model that is resident within Power BI environment. And then you can create the rest of the information. You can create multiple views, multiple reports. In fact, in Power BI world, you can create like thin reports, thin workspaces, thin workbooks from it. So different sub level data elements, sub level visualizations that are being sourced directly from Power BI or from this Power BI golden data set. Naturally, the big advantage is that enterprise wide, you are using just one source of truth.
Sure.
You're having to maintain this information only at one place, and you're not having to necessarily go in and check in about the fidelity of different data sources. All the information that is in this element can be maintained and certified at one place. So this concept of creating this master data model from where you can draw various other reports is what Power BI is really doing well.
I think this concept seems like a pretty important concept when it comes to data, particularly as you were talking about. But to me, it seems that it would still be something that would be available to people who are using Power BI. Are there other technologies that are using this philosophy to, kind of implement that in their solutions? So, for example, if there are people who do not use Power BI, how can they make use of this philosophy to, achieve the same efficiencies, I would say?
See, obviously, the most complex way of implementing this philosophy is to implement what would be an enterprise data warehouse. So, really back end rigor based data warehouse where you are building the necessary data models and you're truly using that as this one source of truth. The problem is that building a real enterprise data warehouse is a very extensive and an expensive process, and not just technologically, but also by the way of various data negotiations that need to go in identifying what goes in a data warehouse. So various tools that we have implemented have implemented what would be a proxy for that enterprise data warehouse. So, for example, tools like Click, tools like Incorta, they have their own native data models that are implementing or that are integrating with the source data and are delivering this what would be an equivalent of a golden data set in that environment.
All right. I think I've already got an idea for our next episode while you were talking about this. I think, and I would love your inputs on this. I think what would be interesting is why don't we discuss how to implement this using different technologies and talk about different platforms that are available out there, so that users or people who are watching us can learn that this kind of philosophy can be used through other platforms as well. What's
Yeah,
your stance?
I think that would be a great idea. We would definitely be able to speak to, and I think I would love to talk about how other technologies are implementing similar notions. And in fact, if there are opportunities to cross pollinate this, like use Power BI data set or use Golden data set in Power BI with some other technology, or use a proxy for a Golden data set in another technology and implement that in Power BI. I think that would be an interesting topic to cover.
Wonderful. We have our topic for the next episode, guys. Then watch this space out for the episode where we talk about golden data sets and how the philosophy is used in different platforms. If you want to learn more about golden data sets and if you have questions about how to implement this in Power BI, feel free to get in touch with Visvero's expert consultants. The links are in the comments below and they'll be happy to help you further. Arvind, thank you so much for being on today's episode, and we'll continue this talk as we discuss the implementations on different platforms.
Thank you so much, Shashank. It was great talking to you again.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.